right. It's Friday night. We are here. It's been a crazy week. Started off or ended last week with Mark out in New Jersey at Falcon Space getting visited by the FBI by a supposed special UAP UFO investigation. I guess two guys, and they were on a false tip of enriched uranium, which it's like that would have to be like.
Yeah, we still don't know if that's the real reason, because like when I said that to this, I got Danny Jones on the phone. Like he's like, oh, let me call Jim Diorio and get him on right now. Like and he knew the guy we thought was originally the FBI agent, and we was like, oh, this guy. I originally reported that FBI agent was that we found was into money laundering investigations, but he had retired like 3 months ago, and now he's working for the state attorney general's office for New Jersey. So that we thought that was super weird, but then they went and looked into it, and they confirmed that wasn't the two guys that visited us. He wasn't one of the two guys that visited us. So they still won't confirm the identity of the two guys that visited us. But I'm thinking our next step might be to get a FOIA request for Mark's FBI records, because if we get his FBI file, anyone can do this. You can file a FOIA and get your FBI file. No one can file and get your FBI file, but you can FOIA and get your own file.
I want my FBI file. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so
everybody needs to do this, right? You need.
I think
to
we
know
all should do
what
it
are they
now.
wasting their money on? Why are they looking into people?
If we are all under FBI investigation, because we all might be, you even people who watch this channel might be under. Remember, during the COINTELPRO, they exposed FBI records. This is one of the things that I point out, which is the fantasy that a lot of these people believe that disclosure is going to happen in a skiff, or that it's going to happen through Congress, through anyone in Washington, D.C. It's not. Disclosure has happened historically through leaks, through whistleblowers. It's generally a hero,
technology as well, right? And
everyone likes to think that that they would do the right thing given that scenario, right? But the Milgram experiment proved otherwise. They put just random people from all walks of life in the position of being able to kill a person with a consecutively higher voltage, and knowing that the last one on the list was a lethal dose and would kill the person. 95% of the people who had the authority to do so given to them through the people in the experiment would choose to hit that button thinking they were actually killing someone. And so that's how the Nazis got away with that, what they did. And everyone likes to think that but only 5% will become a hero and actually stand up, And we know from the history of what happened in Abu Ghraib prison, there was one guy that was seeing all this happen, horrible human rights violations, what they did to those people in Abu Ghraib. And that was allowed to happen because they were isolated, given all the authority and no oversight. So that's why that was allowed to happen. Anytime there's no oversight and absolute authority and anonymity.
When it goes dark, it brings out the darkest of humanity. Sometimes it seems.
Yeah. And that guy had to hide his family and hide his identity for years until those people were all like prosecuted and put, and it was all over, because there were people trying to go after him for exposing what was the pictures. He went and got all the cell phone pictures that they were sharing, and he went and published them all, you know what I mean, of what they were doing to the prisoners there. So everyone likes to think that they would be the one to stand up and be a hero, but heroes are few and far between.
Julian Assange, Bradley to Chelsea Manning, the latest dude that was sharing the NATO intelligence on his video game server buddy chat, ended up like all of them in jail or forever. Edward Snowden having to go to Siberia.
So the deep state loves to float around, fake whistleblowers and hope porn actors to get everyone's hopes up, and that think that this disclosure is going to happen through these channels. And as much as I wanted to believe it and didn't want it to be, so I think it's all coming undone, especially this week when the excuse they first tried to give was that, like he didn't have the money to, get flight expenses or travel expenses to go testify, and then and now that he did testify, there was just no real interest in any of the information being discussed. Yeah, so I did a poll on Twitter and asked people what their thoughts were on where disclosure would come from. And yeah, it's true. Disclosure it already happened, right? I would say most of the information is already out there. It's on the web. It's just being suppressed actively and covered up with state-sponsored deep state propaganda and misinformation.
Well, so our official disclosure is the Nimitz, the Tic Tac, and as we discussed like this past week with Walter Bosley and got in with Joseph Phil there, but whether it's like American made, whether it's something else, the fact that it's Lou Elizondo and Jeremy Cowbell that they had bring it forward as the official Pentagon recognizing it, and this is real. Breaks our realm of physics, and it's aliens by their narrative, whatever it turns out to be, and that you have Lou Elizondo literally being an counterintelligence officer his entire career, and then now the next step is this David Grush, and that when you have real leaks like what Assange was doing with WikiLeaks, what Chelsea Manning did with all of those, what Edward Snowden did, so that's real disclosure, or whistleblowing.
Even things don't have to leak out sometimes. People just have to be arrested and it went public, like we exposed with the coverage of the Isaac Vincent Kemp case in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, with the terahertz ultra fast photonics lab that he was working with and bringing home documents for. He did a year in jail for that, and the mainstream has never reported on that or talked about that. But that's a serious story, because it confirms at least some of the stuff that they came out with Tom DeLonge. But it's kind of crazy because they ridiculed that. He made it sound so stupid when he went on Joe Rogan and tried to talk about it. Why not put your best foot forward? Why didn't Hal Puthoff go on Joe Rogan and with Tom DeLonge to be like, answer those questions, So when he's like, what do you mean an electron gun? How do you fire an electron? He could have been like, yeah, dude, just use a Crookes tube,
Or go on to Periscope YouTube channel, and there's literally 50 to 100 videos from U.S. Navy and Air Force. 50, 60, exactly.
So it's crazy. And then why the FBI is visiting Mark's lab, and then even the Daily, we have to rely on the Daily Mail, which I commend Josh Boswell for actually digging in and covering the story.
So did you give them the heads up?
Daily Mail's like tabloid, like labeled,
but
right?
It's like a tabloid news. Yeah, it's kind of like we have to rely on the tabloids.
Jeremiah, Jeremy, did you end up giving them the information? Who gave it to MSNBC?
Mark directly
MSNBC, the story from the Daily Mail. They just, they're just a news wire. It's like Associated Press puts out the stories, and most of the other channels pick them up from there. It's one of those tabloid news that sometimes gets shared and stuff. And
I read the article; it was good. I liked it.
It was pretty good. You know, the thing is that there's so many more scientists, and they tried to make it like, oh, Mark is the lead scientist, and he's the only science working on this, and they didn't get like the real like big full picture on the science quite right. And
It's like replicating UFO lab or something is like,
I don't
how
think he wanted to put, because I told him about alt propulsion and what we're doing with that. I don't think he didn't, maybe thought it would be construed as an advertisement, and didn't want to like, do that. I mean, anyone who digs in is going to find all that, hopefully, or at least go to Falcon Space and find some stuff. But there's not much. Falcon Space isn't the best thing forward, but
So how did they get information on Falcon Space?
Well, someone obviously watched the videos and stuff, and I think we had a live stream a while back where we were talking about the Geiger counter and the test pellet that he used to test that. But there's a big difference between uranium ore and enriched weapons grade uranium.
Yeah.
When you take ore, right,
like
you'd have to take
exponential levels, or being like
yeah,
a mass amount of rock that's like 90% like other elements and minerals, and then you have to
right. It's maybe
extract it
like
down.
2% uranium in this rock, right? So
Yeah.
you get
Let me show you some more. This is all we're dealing
Oh
with.
no, Jesus!
It's
This lab is not here. It's not at my house.
This is just absolutely legal ore.
I don't even know Michael wherever
In the
his lab is, man.
world.
Somewhere.
You can
Never
actually
heard.
just go to these mines and pick it up. It's actually lots of people on YouTube do it.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them in the Grand Canyon, and I
This
told
is true. And this
someone-
is absolutely not nearly as crazy or dangerous as anything Styropyro probably does. That nonetheless, we do not recommend anybody try this, especially without protective gear and
you
like
need really large conical
just
shaped
don't.
what are called separators, and they're mass. They're based on mass, so
All we're doing is collecting basically ore samples, like Radioactive Drew on YouTube. He does that too, and he goes with this Geiger counter and just checks out.
If you take all the ore and you can check it out and find the good stuff with your Geiger counter,
that's right.
Then you break it all up, and Dan wants to jump on and join. Should we send him a link? Uncensored.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely, for sure.
Let me send him.
Can you guys hear this?
Yeah.
It's not that hot, so I'll tell you what it measures.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you take that and you break it all down and you enrich it, and that's what they do, that it takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of energy, to run the separators to get it really purified. But
and millions of dollars.
Yeah, it takes millions of dollars, like a state-sponsored program, to really make that. And also, if you concentrate, like, it's basically to create a big block, like a pellet that size of enriched uranium, like weapons grade uranium. You need to take like
you need more
that room
than
full
Iranian. You need more than Iranian centrifuges in freaking giant reactors.
Yeah. Well, no, you need a whole bunch of that infrastructure, but you also need about the amount of ore that you need is enough to fill that entire room, right? So if you have that much ore, you're going to be hot from the outside of the building. And so all they need to do is go around the outside of the building with a Geiger counter in order to close that investigation out. And that's what they told Mark they did. Just to be fair, these are like numbers that we're talking about. So anyone who's watching and kind of misunderstands the science can kind of get it, hopefully a little bit better.
Right, and like you can literally hold up a Geiger counter to one of these plasma balls, for instance, like around a Tesla coil, and when you get really close into the field, it's exponentially stronger, goes off than that, but two different types of radiation interference. And
yeah, they check that stuff. Yeah, you have to email me, Dan. I emailed you. I sent you an email with the link, so just check your email there. Yeah, I don't have Facebook or Facebook Messenger or any of that anymore. I'm completely off of those platforms. So.
Oh, I do, and we're actually live on my accounts on Facebook and Twitter and Twitch, and we're both on Rumble as well on YouTube right now. So at some point, we're going to get into a conversation where we'll have to switch over to just Rumble if this isn't spicy enough.
Yeah.
But for now, Dan, if you email either of us, we'll get you the link in. And
absolutely, get them on.
So I have a question though about the aspect of, is there a correlation that we should be picking up on, that the FBI is like anti-gravity and enriched uranium go hand in hand together, or is that just complete BS altogether and a premise for wasting money? And like, if that's what the closest they have to replicating the Tic Tac or getting to the leads of the Tic Tac things and everything out there is harassing, Falcon Space and researchers like us. It's pretty ridiculous.
Some of those UFOs were actually uranium based. They had uranium radioactivity kind of. So I'm sure that they're keeping an eye on it,
Yeah, well, some of these are classified planes which violate treaties, so they'll never be declassified or disclosed. Like the TR-3B. This, Ed Fouché made the argument, like they had this treaty, right, about UFOs. About spacecraft, and you can't use nuclear powered aircraft or airplanes ever since Starfish. So Project Starfish, you ever heard of that?
Yeah,
I've heard of it.
Yeah. What if Ed was right about all that? What if that's why Ed? Because
I'll
they
bring
had
that up
they
real
had that
quick.
treaty. They did have that treaty. No nuclear powered airplanes or aircraft.
Oh, that's the nuclear. No, okay, I do know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Starfish
and there was a
Prime.
guy that talked about it, and he said we get into talking about liquid metal at this point. And he said I can't talk anymore. Remember that guy, Jeremy? I can't remember his name.
Yeah, and guess what? When
you and I were
the
totally
Sarfati
freaked out when he said
lectures,
that.
during the Sarfati lectures, they had a bunch of these guys on doing presentations about like the angel hair.
Okay, hold on. Liquid metal, because are we talking about like cold state liquid metal? Because the only patents I've seen that mention liquid metal batteries mentioned it in a water made through electrolysis, which would be these monoatomic elements, and that would be something else. So
I kind of got, maybe he was talking about mercury. I mean, I could be wrong, but
here, I shared the screen if you want to share that with so Starfish Prime was they blasted off nukes in the upper atmosphere, like in outer space, and after that they were like, no, we can't do this anymore, and that led to all these treaties for banning what's the name of the treaty?
Antarctica or something?
I think that was done near the United Kingdom too. Wonder what the sky looked like when they did that. I mean,
I know
they did a ton of them. Wasn't it like 40 or 50 of them in a couple-day period? It was a lot. And what did it do? They claimed that it put a hole in the ozone layer permanently.
I bet. It's gonna be dangerous.
I had never heard of this.
And my
Yeah.
thought was, oh, they're testing it for weapons, but what if they were testing it in case the TR-3B exploded in midair? Or, Jeremy, what if one did explode in midair and they claimed that it was this missile project was the cover-up? What if? We don't
yeah,
know.
because if we're to believe that this is really a top secret program that goes back to Nazi Bell, recovered Nazi Bell technology, right? That would have been within the time frame.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, this is it maybe would be worthwhile to investigate some of these things with new eyes. But yeah, some of those phenomena, like the angel hair thing, I had a couple different ideas for what that might be. And when we mentioned one of them being like the byproducts of thorium reactor for a jet-powered thorium powered jet engine, the CIA guys got like all weird about when we mentioned that. So
Jeremy, did you hear Walter Bosley on BurnEye's show explain, or were you on that show the other night? He explained the tic tac, and the way he explains it so easily. And he had said the same thing we had said a long time ago, that how would the captain of a naval vessel just allow two supposed Air Force guys on? They were supposedly Air Force guys on, just like that they were allowed on there. He explains that the guys that were involved in the tic tac obviously knew that this thing was ours, and they were already allowed on that boat, way ahead of time, that they just don't get permission to go on.
But Dan, the military would never test non-lethal weapons on real soldiers in a live exercise environment without telling them first, would they?
Right. And there's no such
that's
thing
the argument
as
that I get. That's the argument these people give me, and like they're totally oblivious to the
compartmentalization of it, and just like the need to know basis, and that in the military, in case of capture, the protocol is the minimum amount of people need to know at all times, and that's like only the less than 1% actually know or have any idea of what's going on, right?
Bernie, I watched this show the other day about all of our submarines, and I started to think about something. The hooks that are on the bottom of the tic tac, there's 2 hooks on the bottom. Mike, I think someone said there's actually 4, 2 on each side. Those hooks on each side of there, I was starting to think that they're hooked into these submarines. They have so many submarines in the ocean. We have way more submarines than any other country has. It's incredible. And I just started to think to myself, what if those hooks are just something easy enough as a device to hook them onto a submarine, and to keep them hooked onto that submarine so it doesn't fly down to the bottom of the ocean in case someone's not in it or something like that? Because we don't know if they're manned or unmanned or both. What is you guys' thoughts on that? You know what I mean by the 2 little hooks on there? You got 2 hooks underneath it that go to something. And Michael Schratt tried to tell me on the phone it was an electrical discharge thing, and I don't believe that. There's something those hooks do, and I think it's mechanical. I think that they literally hook onto a submarine, and these submarines I'm talking about, they're all nuclear powered. They're definitely ours, man. I used to not be convinced, but now I'm starting to think they're definitely ours. Well,
we're going to interview the guy who would know, who was working for this stuff. I got Sal Pays lined up for
awesome
for an interview, guys. He's coming on November 19th, I believe.
Is that the secret sauce guy?
That's the secret sauce guy. And
man, you guys are killing it, bro.
Yeah, so he's going to come on. I got Gary McKinnon coming on next week, the guy who hacked into NASA and exposed he exposed the what was it?
Off-world fleet.
He exposed the secret space program, off-world officers.
In the Guardian program, what was it called? The Solar Guardian.
Yeah, Solar Warden. And the reason we
Solar
know that
Warden.
it's true is
Solar Warden, yeah.
the reason we know that it's possibly true is they were trying to prosecute him and bring him back to the United States. If he was lying, why would they be bringing him back to the United States? There's still a warrant to bring him back, I believe, but they never went and got him.
Nah, it would have
Asper's,
caused he got too high profile and it would have caused too much problems for them. Yeah, so
and he had a printout of the one ship, and they said the ship was a mile long. It was huge.
Yeah, so we're gonna get him on the show, man, and we're gonna get into that deep. I'm hoping Wednesday next week. I'm gonna
Wednesday.
I think he's confirmed it for Wednesday, so I'll post that soon.
You know what time? Because I might have to leave work early that night.
Yeah. What time should we do it? You want? Well, he's in England, so I was gonna do it like
he's
early.
5 hours ahead. I get off at 10, but man, that would be pretty late for him. But he might stay up all night if he's a computer nerd. Why don't you ask him and see what he says? I'd like to be a part of that if I could.
Yeah, that would be great because I'd like to get some
more
more
story
people.
very well.
Multi-stream that and maybe make a panel of the second half. I would love to be a part for sure.
Yeah, that would be a cool
administration. The Bush
we're also
administration.
going to try to get. I'm getting a ton of questions in already for people who want to ask questions of Salvatore Pais and his his ideas, and we're going to do a deep dive into some of the physics.
The secret sauce of physics, right?
The secret sauce.
I believe Solar Warden's real, and I think that's where you would find your what did I say about the officers? What were they called? They were
the off-world officers,
non-terrestrial officers, meaning they don't work on Earth. They're out in space. He had their names. There was hundreds of them. Their rankings.
Was Corey Good one?
Definitely not.
No. Only if you ask David Wilcox.
Damn. All right.
Well, what's that radio show host that believed all them guys, but now I don't.
I want David. By the way, David Wilcox. If anyone doesn't know who this is, he offered a anti-gravity course, which
echoes.
We went and took just for the community because this is a community. We do this for the community, and David Wilcox is Ancient Aliens famous and gets 23,000 people watching him on live streams sometimes, and.
He's on Danica Patrick, bro. She's beautiful.
Yeah, he was on Danica Patrick's show.
You should go on her show, man. She believes all these frauds, man. You should go on there. She's absolutely stunning, and she was the best race car driver ever for a female. I mean, she's just incredible. Look how beautiful she is. And he's just bullshit, and it makes me sick. Go on there, Jeremy. Shove you on there in a second, bro. Just like Danny, Concrete, I call him, but now he's Danny.
Yeah, we should definitely try to get on that podcast if she's willing to entertain David Wilcox. I'm sure we could have a discussion. As long as I don't badmouth all the. A lot of these people just.
And TET's also big time, bro. You remember Jenny McCarthy, man? When we were younger, she hosted that show on MTV. She's in Playboy.
Yeah, so Wilcox did an anti-gravity show, and we totally. It was so bad, man. He knows nothing about anti-gravity and his insiders and stuff. So I don't know if you guys remember, David Wilcox had this whole the Snapper. It was the secret location that they were going to do anti-gravity research. And
echoes.
He stole a lot of money. He stole like in the millions, bro. I mean, look at Mark.
This was from 2 years ago. We covered it. Wow, that was 2 years ago that they did that.
Is that how long ago it was already? He got that money.
Yeah, it was already 2 years ago that he got that hanger. That's incredible. I can't believe that.
Gone. That
doesn't
money
it seem like time is going?
Oh yeah, he raised like $1 million, and all that money's gone. They're using the hangar to store dumpsters for a dumpster company now. They're renting it out as just dumpster storage.
Jeremy
space.
and Bernie, does it seem to me, or is it just me? Doesn't it seem like time's going by way faster all of a sudden? I mean, it's like everything is sped up by 10. I don't get it, man. It was not.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then,
is it computers that are doing it, or what? Because our time is more occupied because we have cell phones now. Huh?
No, you're absolutely right, and it's that the generational acceleration on exponential levels of reaching and breaking that the
I think we're just getting
quantum
old.
barrier.
Yeah, we're all just getting old. Look at
Esoteric,
that.
what's up, man? I think it's the computer generations because our faces are always stuck in something. Before we had to read a book or go find something to do outside. Hey, there's a concept. No one goes outside anymore. If you're on a computer all the time and watching videos, time flies by. I think that's what it's got to be. Or am I wrong, Bernie? What's up? Tell me what you were just
Yeah,
talking
the
about.
metaverse sucks in a lot of people's time and conscious energy, for sure. That's definitely a bit. But on the inverse, also now applying AI, and AI is like applying AI to itself, and like all these different nodes and networks of it's just
How about Jeremy?
crazy development
When
acceleration.
Jeremy pulled up that AI the other day, was asking questions. Can you do that now, Jeremy? Can you ask it about David Wilcox? I'm very interested to see what it says.
Is that really his forehead?
Yeah, his forehead's like twice the length of a normal
He has
person.
an alien brain.
Well, he supposedly thinks he looks exactly like what's the guy's name? Right there.
Oh yeah.
He said
Reincarnation.
their family's like pissed off at
okay.
him. Edgar Casey, they want him sued and shut up. They want him to shut down. He does have his eyeballs or something, but it doesn't mean he's him. I mean, he couldn't answer one question they asked him. Edgar Casey claimed he was going to reincarnate. He claimed he's the reincarnation of Edgar Casey. I forget how much money he made from that, but he debuted that on Guess Who? Carrie Cassidy's show of all shows.
Carrie Cassidy.
And they were donating money like crazy.
Who's that? Is that Project Spamalot?
Yeah, I haven't seen her in a long time. Is she even still around, bro? Because Kevin Moore was going to shut her down. Then he felt sorry for her and just stopped.
Carrie Cassidy had some good stuff back in the day.
Back when she first started, man, I loved that show when it was her and Bill. It was really good when she had John Lear on years ago, back in the late 90s, right? It was a damn good show. And then all of a sudden she took this, I don't know, she just steered into this garbage dump of people and just ruined herself.
I think they were fed a lot of counterintelligence, right? And that the whole new age, the remote viewing, the like metaphysics community was like intentionally infiltrated for a very long time by the counterintelligence.
She had Dan Burrish on. And one thing Dan Burrish did was Dan Burrish had a forum, and Dan Burrish put his phone number on there, and he said, anybody that wants to call me, go ahead and call. Well, dude, I was really interested in anything I could find out about S4 at that time, Papoose Lake. I start calling this guy on Fridays. We start talking. He starts calling me back on Fridays, man. I talked to Dan Burrish probably 100 times and was like, it was weird, man. I didn't know if I thought he was bullshitting, but sometimes I didn't. Remember that, Jeremy, what I went through with Burrish?
Yeah. He was like a master of the soundboard. So he got a soundboard.
He called. Listen, I called him one day on a Friday afternoon, right? And he goes, hey, you're in for a treat. He goes, don't say a word. He goes, I'm putting my phone in my pocket. So he had one of those Nextel phones, that you could hear everything back in the day. Construction workers had him. Puts it in his pocket. And I hear this, hey, Dr. Burrish, it's two security people supposedly going through his bags. They call Marcia McDowell, Dr. McDowell. And I'm sitting there listening to this. They go sit down, and you hear they're at some terminal at McCarran Airport. I'm like, what is going on? He's like, listen to this. And then they come up and grab him. It's like, hey, Mr. Burrish and Miss McDowell, follow me, please. And you can hear a helicopter going off. And I told Jeremy all about this. I wish I could have recorded it. It literally sounded like they had gotten to a helicopter. He said they're going to fly us up to Groom Lake in a helicopter today. I'm like, what? It just seemed so real. And then I came to the conclusion that because Ed said he was such a fraud, that he had to have had a sound machine. And that's when Ed did that video about Dan Burrish being a fraud, right after I told him that. But it was interesting, man.
You remember he took the pictures when he said he got beat up?
Yes, that's when he was beaten. Remember, he said that they beat him and kicked him, and
Yeah.
Dan had to have one of his heart valves, I believe, replaced, and that's what slowed him up. He almost died. And he lives in Henderson. I haven't heard anything from Dan and since I think 2012 it's been, because I used to hear from him through email conversations.
What about the? I heard someone said his real name is Dan Crane.
Daniel Crane. It was also Daniel Castillas, and then Daniel Burrish.
Did he work as a probation officer?
Yes, his former wife's name was Deborah Burrish. She was his former. He was the probation officer of Deborah. He married her and took on her name. His mother's name was Dodie Crane, and instead of Deborah taking on his name, he took on her name, and that's where he got the name Daniel Burrish. And it's because they had a daughter that he adopted through Deborah, and he wanted to maintain her last name so she would think that Dan was her father, and her name was Victoria. And I had actually spoken to her one or two times. She would have Dan's cell phone sometimes when I'd call out there. And man, he had some really interesting stories, man. He really did. I don't know what he was.
Yeah.
Agent.
He said he was like working on the alien genetics and all that stuff. Remember that?
Yeah, I absolutely believe he was very intelligent. He could remember, even if he was lying, he had a photographic memory. The Ganesh particle was his big deal. And we couldn't prove any of that stuff was real or not because we're just looking at films. But there's Bill Hamilton was a good friend, and Bill passed away last year. And then there was another, Ron Garner was a big time friend. His right there, Alien Disclosure at Area 51. That's Ron Garner's film. I love the Area 51 history. Project Looking Glass was something Dan Burrish came out with. No one heard of Project Looking Glass before Dan. Was Dan at Groom Lake? I don't know. I would believe him before I believe Bob Lazar, because he actually had the education to be there. He was a master in genetics, and I forget what all it was. He had major degrees. One was from SUNY University, State University, New York.
And why was he a probation officer? That's just weird to be like.
Well, okay. Let's say that you are that one guy that you graduated college with that's so fucking weird that you don't have any social skills as far as being able to talk to people, and you're kind of weird. If you don't come off good at the interview, you're not getting the job. So, and I think that's what happened with Dan. So he took that job because he liked being a cop, apparently, too. Became a probation officer. It paid decent. I forget what he got paid. Then supposedly he goes to work. I'd talked to that one guy he had worked for. I'm trying to remember his name, an older guy that claimed he was Dan's teacher at State University in New York, SUNY. And Dan almost shit when I told him I was in contact with the guy, and I had been emailing the guy. I can't remember his name now. The guy'd have to be passed away. The guy was teaching. He was like 85 years old.
Damn, it would have been great to get an interview.
But they were great days. I got to talk to him one day, John Lear another day, and Ed every night. I mean, it was just fun, man. It's not fun anymore.
It's getting there again. And Exotic Propulsion, Jeremiah, up. You got the link in your email if you up for joining. And
what's he say about that? Can you repeat that? What he just said? I couldn't see it. Best to stay away from this FS. What's he mean FS? Far.
Yeah, we should actually the conspiracy. This conversation we should continue in the second half once we cut over to Rumble. While we're still live though, in real science and what's happened in this past week. Shout out to Dutch Sense. For those that don't know, Dutch Sense channel, earthquake forecasting, impeccable, impeccable discoveries, brilliant mind, and should be running the USGS. Instead, they attack him, and he like hadn't done his forecast in a couple weeks. He did a video a couple days ago saying that he wasn't doing. He was done, and it was his last video. He's not doing the forecast anymore. And 2 weeks ago, in one of his videos, he stated that he was getting threats on his life and that they were making active threats again on him. And then today, he posted in his community chat that they did actually make an attempt on him sometime in like the last week or two. So prayers are with Dutch Sense, and that's how real this is. And that
what did he have that they wanted to kill him? What was his technology?
Earthquake. He knows where
earthquake forecasting. But also, though, when I brought him together with Eric Hecker, they verified each other's stories because Dutch Sense had covered the New Zealand Christchurch earthquake and like these
in
energy
2011
beams coming from Antarctica, as well as a couple of the other ones from like satellite imagery catching energy waves from Antarctica during these.
Do you believe Eric Hecker though? Do you
and
believe
volcano events, and that a couple of them tied in to the exact same time that
showed. I don't know if you watched the interview where he came on my channel. I mean, he wasn't real there, but I would love to see more details on the power station and the cabling that went into these arrays.
Yeah, the guys that work on this thing, the what is it called? The
I remember
neutrino observatory.
There's supposed to be some guys that work for Raytheon that are coming forward about this that claim that he's not telling, that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Now, listen, Eric Hecker went down there as he didn't go down there as a scientist. He went down there as a plumber. He's smart. But
contractor, general contractor for Raytheon.
He showed the pictures of the cables, though. Let me go find the picture of the cables.
Yeah. But Jeremy, hang on a second here. How do we know that these guys down there, guys fuck with you at work, weren't? I mean, do you think they'd really come out and say, "Hey, look, we're responsible for this earthquake that killed all these people in Christchurch, New Zealand"? I mean, that's my thing. They just came out and told
active moment, like trying to get something off your conscience, off your shoulder when you're like, holy fuck, did we just
it was the first time they shut this, and it was the first time they had fired it off, though. And it wasn't like they aimed it and this was done on purpose. My thing is, why do you know what this neutrio detector is? This neutrio detector supposedly can detect a UFO above it in space,
quantum off-worlds, anywhere in the universe, instantaneous communication. It's
quantum entanglement.
Quantum entanglement, like network server for off-world communication.
It's their energy signature.
Yes, it can receive it and it can tell where it's at from. I don't know if it's minimum, if there's a maximum amount of space it has to be apart or not. I don't think so. I think it can be infinite almost, right, Bernie, from what I understand. I tried to talk to Eric the other week and he got pissed at me and wouldn't talk to me, man. And we had a thing going and he said he's just busy, and
he is busy. He works in Alaska 3 weeks at a time on shift, and then it's like he's literally booked with.
And then when the winter comes, he's like he's locked down, man, for like 9 months out of the year, which is cool. But me and Jeremy talked to Eric Hecker like 2 or 3 years ago. He came on the show. Remember?
I know, that's how I first met him. Was on that show with
and
you
then
guys.
He tried to say he wasn't on your show when I messaged him. I'm like, dude, I was like, you were on the show with me. He goes, I never did his show. I'm like, okay. He was under.
It must be a misunderstanding, brother.
Well, he said he was under tons of pressure. There he is.
Yeah, we've done. I've done 3 or 4 interviews in total with Eric.
Yeah, but his first one that he came on was just a lot. It's some random.
It was a random live on your channel.
He
came on for the last couple hours, right there. Yeah,
this was a minimum of 2 or 3 years ago, man. When he did this with Jeremy, it was just me and Jeremy and somebody else and him, and I was blown away because I knew who he was. I was like, man, I know who you are. You're at the South.
I've also done an episode with him, with me, him, and Rex with Leak Project a few years ago too.
He did Greer. That was he interviewed with Greer.
That was big for him.
Sean, he did Sean Ryan also. his interview with Sean Ryan's interesting. It's only about 20 minutes long, but here's what I have to say about Eric. If he's
No, it's
telling the
about
truth,
45, I think. It's epic.
If he's telling the truth, then the United States could be very well possible for the destruction of many cities, and this would be their most lethal weapon to neutralize any country. Start fucking earthquakes. I mean, it's incredible if they're doing it, but it's also horrifying.
Yeah,
And
it's
Iran,
people are so scared about nukes, and I say you don't even know.
Jeremy, did you see the message that Iran put up on their news about 2 weeks ago about they were joking around about being hit with an earthquake by the United States? And I was like, are they talking about Eric Hecker? This was just last week. Oh yeah, it's on the news, man. I was like, what is going on, dude? And I thought to myself, or is it like disinformation that they're behind
or
somehow?
Dutch sense, and was that why he was attacked? Because he does prove this quite often, and he's called them out so many times, and that's why I've wanted to connect him with you, Jeremy, just to because the technical brilliance of your guys' understanding is next level, and the evidence that he can show you of just stuff he's recorded in his earthquake monitoring over the years. It's
check the private chat out, guys. It says on MSN, it says Iran warns Israel, says Hezbollah could cause a huge earthquake if, and then it's ... They're talking about earthquake technology, man. And read a little bit of that once. It's crazy.
By the way,
let's save that for Rumble as well.
This is something also I wanted to show people too. This is 1948 to 1975. The U.S. Army Chemical Corps conducted classified human subjects research at the Edgewood Arsenal facility in Maryland. The purpose was to evaluate the impact of low-dose chemical warfare agents on military personnel and to test protective clothing, pharmaceuticals, and vaccines. A small portion of these studies were directed at psychochemical warfare and grouped under the prosaic title of Medical Research Volunteer Program. All right, this is great. Let's watch this 5-minute clip of when they drugged these soldiers with LSD. This is...
Wow. Yeah, put it on. Let's see it. It's probably good LSD too.
Yeah, this is like high quality military
grade
LSD.
Yeah, pure stuff, guaranteed, man.
Yeah, this is crazy stuff. So people who think like that they wouldn't test the Nimitz, they wouldn't test like our technology out on troops in the Nimitz encounter right there in the SoCal range, right off of Camp Pendleton, the largest military base in the U.S.
What if that was a mind control drug, Jeremy? I never even thought about that, man. Wow.
They're all mind altering, and then the control comes in with this the neutrino array thing. Then that's another part of Eric Hecker's.
All right, so they bring all the soldiers out. They get them to stand in line.
Yeah.
And
Eric's something else, Eric Hecker. If he's telling the truth, he's got balls, man.
See,
they're tripping right now. Yeah,
they're normal right now. So they're just doing the test. They're running for the camera, following some orders. They get the drill sergeant giving them orders, and they're going out and marching and doing stuff. This is the commander right here. This guy.
Jeez.
So they got the drill sergeant. He's doing running drills with them, doing a good job. Now. All right, so they fast forward it. They all go inside the house. They give them and they make them take the LSD, right? So they give them a friggin' a dose.
Oh my gosh, man!
Right, and then they all come running out after about 2 hours. 2 hours later, they all come out.
And they're all dosed up, man. Look at this. Oh my god!
Just look at the smiles. Like not even like the hat's not even on straight.
Look at this guy.
And this was Vietnam era, the way it looks. They're dying laughing, man. Oh my god.
Got a genuine case of group giggles.
Oh my god. That's great. Leave it play. This is excellent, man. I've never seen this.
You never seen this? Look at them all. Look at them all trying to
Nope.
follow orders and trying to like stand in line. They're all tripping their balls off.
That ain't no straight line.
Apparently, they also use this on like captured like spies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
at
it's
one
sodium
point, right?
pentanol. It's the truth serum. Yeah.
I wonder if they ever used LSD on the remote viewing program.
They're like they keep trying to drill them, and these guys start peeking, and they're just like they can't do it.
You guys like that remote viewing program with the one guy on there? I'm trying to remember his name. I watched him last night again. Shit. Dan something. Been doing it forever.
They said the squad leader. Can you hear the volume?
No, not really.
Let me share. I want to share it so you can hear the volume. This is great to hear the volume because you got to hear the volume.
Yes, please. It's Halloween weekend, right? Happy Halloween to everybody.
Yeah, man. How's everybody doing? We're watching guys trip. That's cool.
We got a Halloween trip back in history of LSD tripping in the Army.
Look at them. He can't stand up.
He too had received LSD, and he no longer was an effective leader.
Can you hear it now?
Oh, yes, sir. No longer an effective leader.
When an officer ordered the leader to drill the squad, he responded with, "You want him drilled? You drill him."
Look at this guy. He's not tripping. He's laughing though. He's trying to get it.
Ordered to leave the field, he refused to go. In answer to a direct question, he said he was capable of drilling the men and was instructed to do so. Minutes later, it was evident that he was unable to carry out his orders, and he was escorted from the field. We have seen some of the effects of LSD. What effect would it have
Just
on the
next to
vital
a whole
operations?
bunch of rockets.
Further research is required.
Yeah, ICBMs. They're just like, yeah, we're just gonna. We wonder what would happen if everyone started tripping all at once. What would happen to our infrastructure?
Oh, let's test them. I see why they would do this drill and simulation. Like, what happens if there's a mass drugging of the Army personnel?
Well, yeah, well, they're already
Yeah.
talking about drugging the water. Did you know that? A big thing going on right now.
Yeah,
drugging
they've
the
been
water.
drugging that forever.
Yeah, with the
fluoride,
fluoride, right?
chlorine, all that.
Well, I'm talking about drugging the water, like fucking them up
Drugging,
like
yeah,
this.
little
Like
drugs.
LSD drugging like they drug these recruits right here.
And then this was the Stanford experiment too, where
Oh,
they
that'll be
gave
really good.
radiation
They really do
to
their drugs there.
they gave
really
radioactive
do.
meals to prisoners. That was pretty nuts.
If in doubt, drink distilled.
Did you ever see the one where the woman's like completely freaking out? They're like, she takes her second dose to LSD and she was tripping her ass off. I don't know what that is, what it's from. I don't know if it was military or what, but she was totally gone, man. Hey, Emmy, imagine Vaughn doing acid, bro.
You ever seen the cat on acid?
This guy Vaughn we know. Imagine that, Emmy. The guy out in the chat that I know.
Oh, this was terrible, dude. This was at Wright Patterson.
spots too,
Oh
right?
my
Like,
God.
truly aware of Pynchon's
That's like a
relationship
dryer, isn't it? What
to
is that?
illegal drugs. He's very aware of LSD's role in the development of subcultures, but he's also equally aware.
Won't kill him. You can die from LSD overdose.
That's crazy, huh?
That's, to me, that's not funny, man. Not to but for some reason it bothers me when they do something to an animal more than it does a human. Does that mean I'm mean or something?
no, the exact opposite.
Exactly, that cute kitty.
Helpless. A helpless
Poor
animal.
poor
Yep.
cat, dude. It's not funny at all.
Me and Jeremy love animals, man.
Well, we all should. We are essentially demigods over these lower animal beings, and
I miss my cat.
life forms.
I have the coolest little dog right now. When it comes in, I'll have to bring it in and show it to you. It looks just like Toto from Wizard of Oz. It's amazing looking.
Yeah, so I still hold out for the idea that Roswell might, like, it's just
What are you
crazy.
thinking about it? Tell us. I want to know, man. Have you changed your mind again?
No,
Walter's father was part of it, wasn't he?
The whole thing with, I want to know what that memory foil was. Was it a nickel titanium alloy, like a nitinol memory foil?
Yeah.
Like memory metal?
Yeah, there's a few things that make no sense, right? Unless it was ETs or something else. What's your
What
thought? What's your best
it
thing?
was not just UFO, but also time temporal break, and that's if that was like the first time with like a gray or like future humanity like coming in because like they tapped like the time interface or dimension or something like that.
Edgar Fouché is no longer alive, so I can say this, and Warren York are no longer alive. I can say this. Warren York maintained when he was alive. He told me, he said, Dan, he said the helmet that they found on one of the beings or whatever they were was made in this world, was made for something in the United States or the United Kingdom. He said, because the helmet that this thing was wearing had do you know what a heads-up display is? A heads-up display will display all the information
right in front of you,
vehicles doing on the screen of the helmet or on your windscreen, on your window in your car. I had a car, it had one, the vets have them. Warren maintained that this helmet was so advanced that he had been looking at helmet technology every year, and he was convinced it was only about 5 years away. He passed away a couple years ago, COVID. And I've often wondered why this thing had that. Then he showed me what a drawing of what the one craft looked like. Dude, it looked exactly like an F-35 Raptor pretty much. But here's the difference. None of its components, like its wings and stuff like that, none of that stuff, like it moved, but it didn't. How should I say this? It was like it was liquid metal. The craft like manipulated the shape of its wings and stuff as to what it was going to do. In other words, it didn't
like a mercury heavy style of metal.
Yes. In other words, it didn't have any type of surfaces that would have to be moved with a hydraulic rod or something like that. Like everything's done now with hydraulics still, I believe. And he had drawn this thing. He said, I'm telling you, it looked very close to what we have now. And he said the thing that they found dead had a helmet that would fit a human, and it had an incredible heads-up display in this thing that was second to none. The computer, and it was unbelievable. Well, dude, we're there with virtual reality right now. So did it maybe have virtual reality in its heads-up display? What did it have that these two guys both told me the same story, and they're both gone now, so I can tell it. They're no longer a part of this earth. Ed Fouché and Warren York, and they were friends. And it really intrigued me, this story. I have to go back and look at my notes to tell me more about it. But the way they saw it was these were futuristic people from the future. is what they said. And you hear this over and over again, that ETs are futures from the human coming back in time, human beings coming back in time to try and save this world from some type of catastrophe, nuclear war. World War III doesn't have to be nuclear war, but we'll see UFOs escalate at this point in time where you have a conflict that's getting ready to break out. You understand kind of where I'm coming from. And then that's when the Roswell incident happened. It was from the future and landed in the past. It's very hard to grasp your head around. When I finally understood what he was talking about, which took days, I was baffled by it. Now,
so why haven't any of these time travelers gone back to Stephen Hawking's party?
Well, I don't know what the
Hawkins
limits
drunk.
would be, Jeremy, on them conversing or being with anybody else, because then this whole thing with time travelers is broken and it changes
I
everything.
think it's people from I think it's other species or other aliens from elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
It could very well be, but if they wanted to self-preserve their name and they wanted to preserve their granddaughters, their granddaughters' daughters, okay, they would have to go back in time, if you will. Chrononauts, I believe Walter Bosley would call them.
Yeah,
I
know he talks about that. I don't believe any of it. It's all been debunked with physics, man. And
what if our physics are not 100% right, though? I mean, we believe 150
Well, so
years
many
ago.
people claim they experienced these this Mandela effect and these like interjecting timelines and potentials of different mixed timelines and all of that, and mergings of different essentially universal time shards or fractals.
Sure, I get what you're saying, Burn, and I'm not. Listen, I'm not.
And I get like the more
anybody's wrong.
So theoretically, we're just throwing ideas out here, right? Like this is just brainstorming and stuff. But like theoretically, if say they were these future humans coming back trying to stop it, the more that they kept trying, like the more attempts that they'd make, the more shards or these more time fractal lines they'd be creating, and then a bigger like ripple it would have in the overall multiverse universe sort of thing.
They don't want the world to end. They're saved. They're actually, they saved the world if this is true. And one other thing is, if you take a look at this and if you look at it, it makes sense. It makes sense that, hey, they don't want the world to end. This is their job in life. Maybe this is what the men in black really are. I don't know. But would someone from the future, if this is true, want the world to end? I wouldn't think they would, because then there's no more.
It ended in their time and it would be ended. There would be none of them to come back to end it from the past, right? Like,
well, it is interesting because Warren had told me that he had held the helmet in his hand, and he had also said that in Texas there's a base there. I have to look up what the base's name is. There's a base in Texas, and he said this UFO landed there. He said when they got there, they had erected a brick and block building around this UFO so it couldn't fly off, which I thought was really interesting, man. And they had a hell of a time getting into the thing, but when they got in the thing, on the outside of it, let's just say it was 50 feet round for numbers. When you got on the inside of it, it was almost infinite. It was like going into another world. It was huge on the inside.
Like a Harry Potter freaking
Harry Potter.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. Is that what that is?
Just like an endless a wormhole in a backpack, essentially a portal into.
Well, let's say this: if they can manipulate time, why wouldn't they be able to manipulate space? Same thing, technically. Time and space.
You couldn't do one without the other.
Right.
Right. This is like Felix the cat. He had that bag that you could just pull anything out of, like giant staircases, ladders, just everything was in the bag.
With Warren, I don't believe he was a liar at all. one thing interesting about Warren was he kept his faith. He was religious, which I found interesting. He was a good friend of mine, very good friend of mine, actually. And I just thought it was unusual when he told me this. And he literally said, "Don't tell anybody anything about this until after I'm gone." And I think I had told Jeremy at one point, but I don't know. I don't know what to believe, man. It could be a bunch of shit. I throw it out there to see if anybody else has anything in the chat to say about it, because somebody might know something, man. Future human beings, future humans, I guess is what I'll say.
Hey, one possibility, definitely, or if it's extraterrestrial or
actually, they would be
interdimensional,
interterrestrials now. They would be interterrestrials now, wouldn't they? Think about
Guys,
it.
press 1 for Taco Bell and press 2 for Nazi Bell. Just a poll, just a quick poll.
Just
Bernie, I love talking about this stuff, and I had to get away from it for a while because you'll drive yourself crazy. But I'll say this: there's a lot out there we don't know, and as far as physics goes, this is the physics as we know them right now in the 21st century. How do we know they're not going to be different, modified? Something's going to change by in 100 years from now. Jeremy, am I right about that, or do I have to be wrong?
Oh yeah,
physics can change, can't they? Not the basics, but
it's kind of like we could.
They are with
something's got to be different if aliens are flying around, huh?
We're gonna get better understandings of physics, certainly certain things, but I guess you could do reinterpretations of physics. But man, it's just like.
What about the speed of light?
Well, so
there's so much
Einstein
that's not.
So here's another thing. Yeah, so the speed of light. I have to bring this up from our talk with Joseph Farrell, Walter Bosley, Jeremiah, and myself. This was after you had left, Jeremy, in it, but that the gravity itself has to be instantaneous. It's an instantaneous force that travels faster than the speed of light. And the only way that something like our Milky Way galaxy can stay coherently together from one side to the other, with the, staying bonded as a structure acting upon itself, or even, the moon and the earth and everything, I guess larger scales. So, but yeah, on a galactic scale, on the star to star, and especially universe to universe,
right?
Galaxy to galaxy. I mean, sorry. It has to be faster than light. It has to be instantaneous.
Huh. So.
Yeah, because it would if it travels at the speed of light, it would be like delayed so much that how would it keep the whole galaxy together?
Coherently exist, right?
I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, I'm getting
mind-blowing.
I'm getting super tired. I think we're gonna end it on here and go over to Rumble exclusively, and that way we can get into some other stuff.
Can you put your link to Rumble, because I don't even know what it is? Is it
Rumble, we'll spam the Rumble links a couple times here before we end it on the YouTube, but we'll keep going on Rumble for a little bit. And before we end it on YouTube, I just wanted to show a little update with Mike with ancient carvings or alien carvings there that had all the Mexican ancient alien artifacts, and that he had purchased 2 of these alien mummies. They're the exact same alien mummies that were shown in the Mexican court or state investigation, whatever it was, and they actually turn out to be from Peru. And that for the first time ever, that instead of him receiving the shipment of these 2, they had to dress them up as dolls or whatnot, but that officially the Mexican government, the Peruvian government, all the governments, they won't acknowledge anything as alien or like an out of place artifact is real, they say that they're fake or frauds or whatnot. So they let them sell them on the black market to, travel, whatever, export them, destroy them, anything. But so for these ones, the Peruvian government actually seized them. They arrested for the first time ever the guy that was selling them to Mike, as as exporting these artifacts, and they actually are doing a full. They sent them to a science lab or something, a state science lab, to actually get genetic or biological testing on 2 more samples of them, and I guess it shows the X-ray here coming up of it, and
show a picture of ET dressed up as a doll.
Oh God.
Well, no, they had to dress them up as dolls when they were exporting them. Like that's how the guy ships them. I'm trying to find the image of where they have it go.
Totally real.
X-ray. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it was this. Right. So it's like, are they just fake? And then they don't want them to
there's
get
a
out
whole
there and see that
fucking
they're fake?
artifact mill going on with just people. There's such a demand for this kind of stuff. I bet you there's all kinds of people making fakes. There's probably like a whole community
for sure, right? That's
to do this, man. That's
why we wanted to get our hands on one of them, right? To try it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how
But yeah, so just fascinating.
If I'm getting a mummy from Peru, it better be filled with cocaine.
Or monatomic gold.
Monatomic gold.
Don't know if you want the FBI knocking on your door with that delivery, though.
Oh, that's the DEA. They'll be pissed because I didn't buy it through them. They'll be like, "Oh, we hate competition." We're the only people that can deal drugs in this country. You know that,
right? The real Rick Ross or story of.
You know what? I'm gonna hide my drugs next time when the FBI comes to look. I'm gonna hide them under Hunter Biden's laptop.
Good idea.
I don't know. They might find it then. Oh, that's a conundrum. Like that. It's a parent.
That would just like, oh my God, I can't see them anymore. Where did they go?
Just disappeared. Doesn't exist.
Dang.
Has this officially left the YouTube genre on all channels?
Oh yeah, no. I guess I should.
Yeah, we're gonna leave the YouTube genre and go to Rumble. Sorry, we're gonna make. We are gonna make you have to make a Rumble account. But yeah, links in the description below. I think I posted it once already, and
Rumble's going, bro. I'm on it. It's good.
All right, we'll jump on there, guys. There's the Rumble link.